Hi, Chelsea here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Lensbaby Spark and also giving a short tutorial on how to use it. So if you're not already familiar with the Lensbaby Spark, it is a really affordable tilt lens. A tilt lens allows you to put part of your picture in focus and blur the rest. Let's move on and I'll cover what you get when you buy a Lensbaby Spark. The Lensbaby Spark has a focal length of 50 millimeters and a fixed aperture of f5.6. The focus type is manual, so you have to push it with your hands to focus. Another thing you should know is that it has an approximate focusing range of 13 inches or 33 centimeters to infinity. So once you pick up your Lensbaby Spark, you might notice that it doesn't have some features that you're accustomed to. It doesn't have an aperture, so you can't adjust that, and it doesn't have image stabilization. The problem with not having your aperture is that you usually use that to adjust your light. So you're going to rely on adjusting your ISO and your shutter speed. What I did was I put it in shutter priority mode and put it at 1/60th of a second. You have to have your shutter speed faster than 1/50th of a second because this is a 50 millimeter lens and anything lower than that will cause camera shake. I also used my ISO in automatic mode, and that made it so that I didn't constantly have to adjust my ISO, and it worked just fine. My pictures came out pretty good. Once in my automatic ISO mode, I found myself just adjusting the exposure compensation up or down about a step, just to make my pictures overall a little brighter or darker when needed in different light. So those settings are pretty easy once you get used to them. And the next thing you have to tackle is which subject matter looks good when using your Lensbaby. I found that wide angle shots didn't look as good. That is preference, but I found that too much of the picture was blurry and that it was a bit distracting from the subject. But when I moved in and took pictures about 13 inches away or 32 centimeters, I liked it much better. The subject filled the frame and it worked really well with the effects that the Lensbaby Spark has to offer. Another thing I noticed about using the Spark is that the pictures will look a lot better if there's a pattern or some repetition in your pictures. So I took pictures of an assortment of chocolates, toys on a shelf would look really good, a platter of cupcakes, because you're focusing on your subject, but the subject matter around it is inferred. Let's put this in video mode so we can see what it's like to use the Spark. Right now I have both hands on the lens, but I'm not pressing. As you pull in gently with both hands, things go into focus. You can move the Spark from one side to the other to blur certain parts of the picture. And so let me take a picture with the center tulip in focus. Now I will tilt the Spark to the right and the left gets very blurry. And I will tilt it to the left now so that the tulip in the left side of the frame is now in focus. So as you can see, by tilting the lens, you can control which part of your picture is in focus and which parts are blurred. So that's what it's like to look through the lens of a Lensbaby Spark. So I'd say the only cons of the Lensbaby is that for $80, it might be a bit pricey for something that doesn't have image stabilization or any of the fancy features that most lenses have. But overall, I think it's a good buy. It's lightweight, it's easy to use, it's fun, and it inspires you to get some really different and interesting photos. Overall, I like the Spark, and I would recommend it to anyone that's looking to think outside of the box and maybe put a little more creativity into their photography. Thanks for watching the video. If you had any problems with the concepts like aperture, using your ISO, you should check out our book, Stunning Digital Photography. Especially the early chapters 1 through 4 have a lot of good information that will help you with controlling your camera. So thanks a lot. Stay tuned, subscribe, and don't forget to like me.